Well, good morning everybody. It's now Friday morning. Excuse the laundry line still. The jacket is slowly drying out. It is hammering it down with rain again. The little rearrangement that we made of our door has helped. Lass's bed is completely dry, which indicates two things. One, it indicates that my makeshift door has stopped any bouncing rain coming in and getting her bed wet. It also indicates that she's outside and has been for some time, probably all night. Stupid dog. I'm not sure when it started raining. It did stop last night. My guess is that it didn't rain between about 6 o'clock last night, and it wasn't raining when I went to bed at 10 o'clock. Ooh. And I've only just kind of woken up now. I might even put my head back down again for a minute. I slept better last night than the night before. But that was partly helped by taking a Stuger on, which just helps make you feel a bit sleepy. Now the forecast for today is heavy rain, and it might lighten up in the afternoon. Might. Well, I just wanted to say morning. Let's have a little look over in the corners. So the corners are quite a long way away. They are a bit lower than they were yesterday or last night. Mainly because I've lowered everything, they're a little bit further away, and so not really anything is reaching in. This is why I like a wind shirt, because when you're in a tack and you've got air breezes flowing around, it just helps keep your hoodie hat thing more efficient. I'm going to make a tea and then I might put my head back down, get some more sleep, even though it's 9:30 in the morning. Can't do much else in this weather. See you later. Well, good morning or good afternoon or whatever it is. It's still blowing a hoolie. It's still blowing a hoolie out there. In fact, if anything, it's now, unfortunately, blowing right in the door. So my closing the door yesterday, or moving that door, has now meant the rain is coming directly in on us, just this minute. I hope that changes direction in a minute, otherwise we're going to have to get out pronto, which is a bit of a pain. But it's just this second decided to blow in, and it's actually landing on me. The sleeping bag's starting to get wet now, just a second. Do you ever believe it? But I left the door where it was. Alright, I'm going to have to stop filming and decide what to do. Well, that was an experience. In a way, it's a shame I couldn't catch it, but you didn't want to see me running around stark naked virtually. Wow. I don't know where to begin. Talk about an adventure. Right, well, we're still here, just about. Basically, the door was that way. This Hero 10 stopped on 41%. That doesn't. Okay, let's try this. This is a new battery. Anyone else having GoPro Hero 10 issues? Seems to be worse than my GoPro 9. Right, well, I don't know where to start. Basically, I was filming here, saying good morning, and it was just gone 12 o'clock, lunchtime. And literally at that moment, the wind went from going at, well, the wind was coming this way, which is why the door was that way. And then I noticed sometime during the morning, the wind was coming from this direction. And then while I was filming, it changed and it was coming directly towards me into the door. Now normally if a wind comes into the door, it doesn't necessarily matter too much, especially if you put a door up that will hold quite a lot of the rain at bay. But because it's so windy that it was just blowing it straight over right onto me and my sleeping bag. So my wind shirt bore the brunt of it, and now my wind shirt has got damp. So luckily it's not soaked. So I've just draped it on top of the sleeping bag. I managed to save the sleeping bag, the critical thing I saved, but straight away after I noticed that the rain was coming through the door, I went just to see if I could lift a peg. I just raised the door a little bit, but in the next second, the peg that was holding effectively this side down here came out. Well, I don't know if the peg came out or if the line came off the peg. But anyway, literally the next second, the door just flew open. Half of the door flew open when one of these pegs came off, or the cord came off the peg. And half of my door was just flying open with rain coming in. So I had to sort of dash out of bed, as it were. I took all my bottom half off, so socks, leggings, everything. I moved the sleeping bag over to the only area that was really dry to the left. And the only thing that I was still wearing was, unfortunately, my merino top layer. And that's my nightwear, and I was wearing that. And that's the only thing that I was wearing. So I was outside, stark naked, bits dangling around in the wind, blowing away. Well, more going boing, boing. As it retreated for cover. Luckily, there's nobody around, thankfully. So I just had the merino on, and I was basically like that, having to move the door, not back to where it was earlier, but because the wind had done a complete 180 on me, behind me. So again, I've not moved the bed, but I now have my head at the door. And I've managed to secure all of the pegs tightly. I went round twice I don't know how long I was out there, getting quite chilly for, but it must have been a while. It was a good 10 or 15 minutes that I was outside rearranging everything. I came back in and I nearly settled in, and then I thought, no, let's just put the raincoat over the top of this and go out one more time and have one more look. So I just put the raincoat on. I chucked my shoes on this time because I didn't even have my shoes on the first time. I put my shoes on and then I went back outside again, and it's a good job I did, because a couple of the pegs that I thought I put in when I was going around quickly, half naked, I hadn't put in properly. So good job I did. I went around again, checked all the pegs, and all the pegs seem, you know, very, very firm and secure. And it really is blowing an absolute hoolie out there. I don't know what the wind speed is. I maybe sort of try and stick that outside in a minute, but it's really quite unpleasant weather. The forecast was supposed to have been getting a bit more mild. Well, not quite so rainy and everything today, but we'll have to see whether that transpires or not. It really does not look like it's showing any signs It really doesn't look showing any signs of improving at all. It's really, really unpleasant out there. And if it eases off a little bit later, if it does, then I'll whip back out again and check these pegging points just to make sure that they're secure. But for the moment, we've just got to grim and bear this and just hope that this Trailstar holds up to this. I think most other shelters, apart from maybe a Hillyberg or something like that, might very well have packed it in by now. But it is clinging on for dear life at the moment. All right, well, I think I need to sort myself out a little bit here. Maybe get half prepared for an evac just in case. But realistically, I think we're okay. But I need a cup of tea anyway. I don't think I'm going to be doing much of filming with this weather. But it's really is quite unpleasant. I don't know what the wind is doing. I don't know which way the wind is going to end up blowing. Right, well, the time is 2:10. I've been watching the pressure like a hawk. I've got my breakfast, which is really lunch or afternoon tea, or not quite afternoon tea, and it's still raining, and it's been hammering it down, and it's still quite breezy, as you can probably see. But what is that? Something is trying to make an appearance, and very welcome it will be if it actually does come out, if the forecast was correct. Because the forecast did say that the Wednesday when I got here would be awful, which it was. It did say that yesterday would be awful, which it was. And it said that this morning would be awful, which it was quadruply awful. You notice I've even put gloves on. One, my fingers obviously got very cold when I was outside, running around butt naked virtually, rearranging this shelter. Damn, there's never a 21-year-old blonde when you want one, is there, to come and warm your bits up? Oh, God. But we're still here. We're clinging on to the wreckage. The wreckage is, well, to be honest, it's not that much of a wreckage, really. We've got a very soggy towel, which is not very helpful. Another slightly soggy towel, but that one's not quite so soggy. We've got waterproofs that are marginally soggy. Somehow, my underwear, that's going to turn all those girls on, isn't it? Somehow my underwear got soaked again. I don't know how. To be honest, I think they fell in my tea. I think they actually fell in my tea. And then in this bag here, we've got my shirt, which got wet coming in, and my merino, which got wet because I had to run around half naked, rearranging the Trailstar. So in the end, I kind of I'm hanging my thing for keeping me dry. Sorry, not keeping me dry. For my laundry, I've just let hang loose for the moment. If that sun actually does come out, then I might rearrange the laundromat. Maybe something might dry. You know, if it actually does deem for the sun to come out. There was supposed to be a sunny interval this afternoon. So, even though with my layering system, I know you're all saying take spare, well, if you have a layering system like mine, it effectively is spare. It's just you're not doubling up on anything. So yes, now my shirt was compromised from the very beginning. That really is the sun. You can see the sun. So yes, so my shirt was compromised at the very beginning, and my merino long sleeve was compromised from going outside. But now, assuming I don't have to go outside and get wet again, I still have a t-shirt and a fleece and my insulated jacket. So effectively, I still have 3 dry layers on. I've lost 2 layers, which was my shirt and merino jacket, so that's 5. My 6th layer is my wind shirt, which did get marginally damp when the rain started coming in. Even though that sun is trying to come out, it really is. Look, you can see the sun right behind me. That wind and rain, it just doesn't quite want to let up. It says, I know, Mr. Sun, you want to come out, but we're not going to play it that easy for you. And obviously my rain jacket is marginally damp. So we have not abandoned camp. Well, not yet anyway. And if the forecast is anything to go by, it's supposed to get better. Well, not any worse anyway. Let's talk pressure, because this is interesting to say the least. I don't quite know. This agrees with this, which is different to this. So let's go into data. At 5 o'clock this morning, And it wasn't raining at 5 o'clock this morning. It was relatively calm-ish. At 5 o'clock this morning, because it just shows how much it's plummeted. Right, yesterday afternoon, when the weather was shockingly poor, the air pressure was 939 hectopascals. At 3 o'clock, it was 938. And it stayed at about the 38 mark until 9 o'clock last night. At 9 o'clock last night, it dropped to 37.9 hectopascals, or whatever they're called. And it stayed around about the 37 until midnight. And at midnight, it dropped down to 936 hectopascals. At 2 o'clock, it dropped down to 935. At 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock this morning, 930 or less. At 10 o'clock, it was down to 927. So 927 was the lowest, and at 12 o'clock it went to 928. At 1 o'clock, 929. Hopefully it continues that trend of climbing. So it was 927. It's now 929, which is not a massive climb, but a climb nonetheless. So we will obviously keep a very close eye on that. I'm not quite sure why this is showing 990 rather than 930. This does seem out for some reason, and I've checked the Hecto, Hugo, Horus pastels on this and the millibars and compared it, and for some reason the Garmin seems out. The other strange thing is you could clearly see that the air pressure on this was plummeting. You could also see quite clearly on this one that the air pressure is dropping. I don't know what's showing up on that, but for some reason on this one it stayed pretty static until that very last measurement when I tried to fiddle with it. So I don't quite know why this has not, this should have a sort of a zoop type of thing on it. So that maybe just needs a little bit of a looking into. But you can see that the sun is still trying to shine. There's a little bit of blue sky. Look, blue sky. We can actually see the Lake District. There's some mountains over there. I'm not sure I'm actually going to go anywhere today, given that it's already blooming 2:30. I think I've been out and got cold quite enough, thank you. But we'll kind of see how it goes. But I think I'm just gonna stay here and relax. I will have to get out probably for more water, and I will have to get out and just give these tent pegs a bit of a check. But it's still raining a bit, and it's still quite breezy. Nearly 5 o'clock. We've had several showers. There's still some wind, but it has largely died down. I've nipped out once very briefly, simply to just re-tighten the pegs. I didn't get water. Hopefully I will have enough water to get me through until the morning without having to get more water. I've not had soups yet, or my pastas, but I'm not using water as much as normal. Lassie obviously has water, so I don't need to use water for her because she can just go in. There's plenty of water around for her. So I'll just give you an update on air pressure. So at 11 o'clock when Satan visited us, almost literally at that time, and things were looking quite dicey to say the least. It was 927 millibars on the pressure. At 12 o'clock it increased to 928 and a half. At 1 o'clock it was 929. 3 o'clock still 931. And it's now showing at nearly 5 o'clock. It was 931 if you remember. It is now showing 932 and a half. So the air pressure is slowly, steadily, at least going in the right direction, thankfully. I have, because the sun was out and it's not quite so unpleasant, to have hung my laundry up again, just to try and dry this wind shirt out, which unfortunately got damp, and it really only got damp from rain getting in at me. It could almost be just cold now as much as anything else. It might just be that, it might just be cold now because it doesn't feel damp to the touch, whereas when I touch my trousers they actually feel damp. But the wind shirt just feels cold. Maybe it feels a bit damp, but I think it's more just cold, to be honest. Anyway, let's have a look out the door. We do have a view. I do apologise that I've not been able to show you outside at all. It is 5 o'clock, it'll be dark in an hour, and I'm not going outside. So I quite literally have been marooned in this Trailstar for 2 whole days. What did my watch say about sleep last night? 9 hours 45. Long but light sleep. You know, I thought I was out for the count last night. There's no pleasing this thing, is there? Deep sleep 50 minutes, light sleep nearly 6 hours, REM sleep 3 hours, awake 25 minutes. Although you slept long enough, you did not get sufficient deep sleep. Recalling memories and concentration may be more challenging today. So, so even though I got 3 hours of REM sleep, it's like I didn't get enough deep sleep. I'll tell you, there's no pleasing this. It is quite fascinating too. Okay, well, that's it for now. We have survived. Like I said, I did whip out briefly and just, you know, retighten all the pegs around here. All right, I'll catch you later, or tomorrow morning, or come back for whatever part is tomorrow.